Mayor Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar had some tough words about your experience, and she also said something I wanted to get your response to, because I don't think you got a chance to respond. She said, you know, your attacks on the people up there who do have Washington experience, she said, was to kind of be one of the cool kids, that there was something kind of distancing or condescending about it, that you were belittling the work of people that were actually doing very difficult work in Washington, D.C., sitting through the impeachment trial. What's your response to that?
Look, I understand the importance and the difficulty of the work that the senator and others are doing in Washington. My point is there is frustration with Washington as a whole, and we're going to need a different mindset in order to win and in order to govern. Look, we are coming up on a situation where the future president is going to face issues that are fundamentally and profoundly different than anything we're used to, on top of the conventional and traditional issues of security and in our economy. And one thing that I am seeing across the country, certainly in New Hampshire, when I speak to Democrats, but also when I speak to independents who will hold part of the key to defeating Donald Trump, is a desire to make sure that we finally turn the page, leave the politics of the past in the past, and bring something different to Washington.
There's a sort of consensus, I think, that both up on this stage and among the voters, we talked about electability being at the front of people's minds. And so and I've heard you make your case, but I want to ask, for someone that was two-term mayor of a town last year, won your last election with 8,600 votes, ran statewide and got walloped. Why should someone think that you are more electable or more palatable to voters than someone like, say, Amy Klobuchar, who's won successive statewide races in a pretty close state in the Midwest?
Well, the process of actually proving it is underway. We just had an election on Monday. We're about to have another one this coming Tuesday. And so after a year of each candidate's trying to tell how each of us would get votes in a presidential election, this is the first chance to actually show it. And we have the support that we have because of our approach. But I also recognize New Hampshire is an independent thinking state full of folks who aren't going to be told what to do by Iowa or anyone else. And I know that I've got to come out here and earn that support as we go on to Tuesday and then beyond.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.